Hello there, and welcome to another edition of the Husker Online Show. Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple, Robin Washek, getting ready to hit the road this week to West Lafayette. Yes. Always a fun trip.
Is it? I mean, it's a fair question.
If you do the trip right, it's
right.
fun. And we have been fortunate enough to do it right. Unfortunately, this time around, we're not doing it right.
We're not.
We're flying to Indy, staying in Indy, driving. Then we're going to drive to Chicago when the game's over and fly home. So we're doing it much more different than we've ever done it in the 14 years of doing these trips with Robin.
I don't think people would mind me asking this question. Where are we flying? What are we doing on Friday?
We go Lincoln to Chicago, okay. Chicago to Indy.
Okay.
And we're going to stay in Indy and celebrate with a nice steak dinner somewhere.
Okay.
We've ruled out El Toro.
Yeah. We have ruled it out.
Just because.
Did you rule it out, Rob?
No, but Sean made a great point. Is with that morning kickoff, you're leaving a lot of variables open.
Variables, you're calling them.
You know, because as we know, sometimes you make bad decisions with Mexican food and you pay the consequences for it. And we don't need any of that before an 11 a.m. kick.
So we're doing steak in Indy, then cover the game, post-game live. We'll be done in West Lafayette. And we'll be in Chicago, and we'll fly back home. So we got it laid out. But before I get into the rest of the show, thank you again for joining us on Husker Online here on the Husker Online Show. We're brought to you by StayHome.Care. Your home, our care. Get accessible and personalized in-person care in the comfort of your own home. Whether it's helping with daily tasks like cleaning, laundry, and meal preparation, providing companionship, offering medication reminders, or assisting with personal care and errands, we're here to make life easier. Serving Lincoln, Omaha, and all of Nebraska, StayHome.Care is proud to announce that it's received the prestigious Top Home Healthcare Service Award for the second year in a row, reaffirming its commitment to providing unparalleled care and support to individuals in the comfort of their own homes. Head to StayHome.Care to learn more. That's .care, not .com. Again, learn more at StayHome.Care or call them at 402-205-2233. Our heart is with you because we put our heart into everything we do. Your home, our care. StayHome.Care. Okay, let's get into the opening headlines, gentlemen, as we get ready for this week. And first and foremost, coming off a loss, you really get the sense the tone has changed over there this week. I mean, there's a little bit of a chippiness, a little bit of an anger, especially with those defensive players, the way they kind of left it out there and weren't able to really finish the deal and got pushed around by all intents and purposes.
Right. That's interesting observation by you because Tony also said today they didn't have the chip on their shoulder against Illinois. They didn't play with an edge. They need to get that back because we haven't really seen it since Colorado, right? Am I wrong?
Yeah.
You didn't really see it against Northern Iowa. I get it now. Sean's going to come out with it. They scored 3 points. I know, but there were red flags in that game. There were red flags.
Situational things.
Yeah. And I just don't mean on the first drive. So they haven't got the edge. They haven't had it for 2 games. So now will it return? Will it return, Robin?
Yeah, it better because there's very little time to sit there and feel sorry for yourself right now. They are entering a critical week where you cannot afford to have any slip-ups because arguably this is the last, or I guess the easiest remaining game on the schedule, considering where Purdue is right now and the losses and the way that they've lost 2 weeks in a row now. Nebraska's, I mean, they got to do it now. They're saying all the right things. The guys are showing chippiness. They're, talking about how, they can't let what happened against Illinois happen again. Well, they better prove it now. And it sounds like, by all accounts, today was Tuesday's always their most physical practice. The guys got after it. Nash Houtmaker kind of said that the guys were flying around and there was a tone of urgency within the team that you would hope would be there and you hope continues on into Saturday.
And, I thought the quote of the Tuesday session this week was from MJ Sherman, basically saying, how do you think it felt? We got punched in the face.
Punched in the mouth.
Face, mouth.
Yeah, that's what he said, huh? I didn't hear that because I was
doing
the coordinator report.
You could feel, and now this is where you hope the veterans, this is an old defense, that those guys really rise up, that it's not just talk on Tuesday.
I know. That's, guys, you've been doing this a long time, and I've been doing it a long time, and sometimes you try to read too much into a team on Tuesday.
You get a lot of tough Tuesday talk.
Yeah, you do. Let's see what it looks like on Saturday. And to your point about Purdue, remember they have Devin Mockabee, and he went for 122 against Nebraska a couple of years ago.
He's a big back.
Pretty big. Yeah, he's 205. Then they have Reggie Love now, Reggie Love the third. I'm not going to sell them as Quinshawn Judkins and Travion Henderson. They're not. But Maccabee's done it against Nebraska. He's gone well over 100 against Nebraska, and he's a tough runner. He's the kind of guy that's a pain. I mean, he's a pain in the ass because I'm sorry, Sean, because he runs
family show here, Sip.
Yeah, PG, keep it PG. Because he runs so hard, and my mind can see him doing damage if Nebraska plays like it has.
Well, you have a big physical running back and an extremely athletic offensive line that loves to run outside zones. So that means they're going to try to get in space, and they're going to make Nebraska have to tackle. And what has been the struggles the last few weeks, it's yards after contact. The amount of leaky yardage they've given up, especially on first downs, that will be critical this week. I mean, if they want to set the tone and do all that, they better start bringing guys down on the first shot and not allow that yards after contact to pile up and keep Purdue's offense on schedule the way Illinois and even Northern Iowa did.
Yeah.
All right, you're listening here to the Husker Online show as we get you ready for Nebraska's first road game of 2024, an 11 a.m. Central Time kick on the Peacock. So get your internet and your app situation locked up, or go find a place like Tanner Sports Bar, one of our proud spots. Go to one of those places. They'll have the game on, but it's like $6. I always kind of chuckle when people complain about having to pay. It's like $6 for. I mean,
that's really nothing.
Like the drink you get at Starbucks is like $8 now, and you can get a whole Nebraska football game for $6.
Is the procedure, young fellas, to get it and then cancel it?
You could,
but basketball's on.
Yeah, keep in mind they do a lot with basketball.
Okay,
so there'll be several. They haven't announced TV times for basketball, but there'll be several Nebraska road games, especially probably on Peacock.
Like Tennessee, Wisconsin, if I remember right, was a Peacock basketball game, right, Robin? Or was that one? I mean,
I don't remember. They had some high-profile
good
games,
good Big Ten games, like out-of-conference games in November. They hook. I mean, we're probably not far off from Nebraska volleyball being on Peacock.
First world problems. Cancel Chicago Tribune subscription. That's $30 a month, and get Peacock.
You still have a Chicago Tribune subscription?
$30. It's $27 a month. Yeah. Every time I see it come out of my account, I think this is horrible.
That's where your friend Greg needs to help you with that too.
Yeah.
All right. And then I want to hit on this lastly.
That missing tooth, Greg. Yes.
Your manager.
Fleet manager.
I want to hit on this. Brett Maher has joined the staff. And,
yes.
And I've noticed him down there the last couple of weeks. Wrote about it on Monday in our rundown that we do, that he was down there pregame assisting the kickers. And Matt Rule confirmed on Monday that Maher is a part of the staff and a paid role. And that is one of the nice advantages of these new coaching roles, because I can tell you, I'm close with Chris Brown. I've known him for 20 some years. Chris Brown would have killed to be in a role like this to help Nebraska's kickers at one point in his life, but it wasn't possible because of the rules.
Right.
Now you can pay a guy to do it.
Yeah, and Maher's at a stage of his life where he can do it. As Rule mentioned yesterday, his kind of life situation changed this summer. I think Rule was probably making reference to
retirement.
Yeah. And now that I see him there, he's the one in the white, right? Is he the one in the white?
Yes.
Okay. I've seen him on the field too, but I wouldn't have known Maher if he walked up my driveway.
I know him because I see him at swim meets.
Right. He's on the south part of town, usually, probably.
Firethorn. He's at Firethorn every day with his kids.
So there's Maher, and you guys probably remember, and I don't remember this. He was the Big 12 punter and kicker of the year in Big 12. Big 12, 2011.
No, the big 2011 was the first year.
Big 10?
So quit the winking crap. Quit that crap.
Was it the Big 10?
Yes.
I think I read it on our site that it was he was.
Well, 2011 was the year Nebraska was in the Big 10.
Okay, whatever. He was the punter and kicker of the year. That's incredible.
Yeah,
Think about that in the context of what's going on now at Nebraska.
Because he replaced Alex Henry.
And he's a guy that has kind of gone through his own share of struggles.
Yeah.
I mean, the way his NFL career ended, I mean, he had a late run with the Rams there, but it didn't go well. And so he's gone through his share of, having to face adversity and overcome that self-doubt that I think is very much in play with Nebraska's kickers right now, especially with Tristan Alvarez.
Oh, yeah.
And so to have a guy that's been through it at a much higher degree than what Nebraska's guys are going through, that's about as good of advice about how to manage that and overcome that as you can get. And then, I follow a guy by the name of Lawrence Tynes. I don't know if you remember him, former New York Giants kicker,
Yeah.
kicked the game-winning field goal in Green Bay in the cold NFC Championship. He commented on it when he saw the news. He said, Matt Rule has set a trend. I've been saying this for years. Kickers and punters need individual coaching, just like all the other positions. Love this move. And so this is something that I think from a kicker standpoint is really valuable and probably something that gets overlooked when it comes to assembling staffs. And with the way that the coaching staffs have expanded, teams now have the luxury to do things like this far more often.
Yeah. Not all athletes are. Some can do, but they can't teach. Some can't do, but they can teach. What Bill Bush says, the former Nebraska assistant, and who knows Maher, knows Maher really well. He says he can do and he can teach. So it is a brilliant hire, probably. So we'll see what happens with it. If it pays off. Now, it doesn't have to be immediate dividends because John Hold's a freshman. Hopefully it pays immediate
But
dividends.
just him being able to demonstrate kicks. Imagine Imagine if like a guy's like, no, you do it like, I mean, knock on like previous, like when Ed Foley or Bill Bush or Bruce Reed were coaching Nebraska specialists, could they get up there and kick a 50-yarder?
No.
I mean,
no way.
Exactly. So you have a guy that can say, hey, hold on, watch my leg here. Watch how I whip through this.
Right. Absolutely.
And he could still do it, obviously, because he's just removed from kicking in the NFL.
Hey, you might try to slip him out there.
Yeah. Just put a mustache on
it
him.
was the Big Ten.
Yeah.
It was.
It's Big Ten.
Okay. All
right. When we come back, I had to get you because you gave me your
winking.
You gave me your winky deal there.
This is a nervous tick.
Winky deal.
Right. When we come back, we'll break down the offensive storylines heading out to Purdue. You're listening here to the Husker Online Show. And we're back here on the Husker Online Show. Sean Callahan, Robin Watchett, Steve Sipple. Again, the Husker Online Show brought to you by our title sponsor, StayHome.Care. They are there to help you with your loved ones. And it doesn't have to just be family. Anyone that you know that might need assistance with just simple tasks like picking up a prescription, grocery shopping, cooking, you name it. They provide that assistance you need at StayHome.Care, proud sponsor of the Husker Online Show. Also brought to you by Mando. If you have not tried out Mando, these are great products, whether it's just their deodorant, the body washes, the cleansing bars, all of them are premium, outstanding products. And they're dermatologist recommended high level products, as I mentioned. And we've got a great special for Husker Online viewers and listeners that want to give Mando a try. We're going to give you the Mando Starter Pack, which is a solid deodorant stick, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, and then free shipping on top of that added in. Use the promo code Husker at shopmando.com. They're going to take another $5 off this pack. It's already discounted. With their discount and our discount, it comes out to be 40% off the total price. That's at shopmando.com with promo code Husker. Thank you again to Mando for sponsoring us here on the Husker Online Show. All right, let's get into the offensive storylines, guys, because I think one thing we all agree on, Nebraska's got a pretty special guy at quarterback, Dylan Raiola, and you saw what he could do. I mean, some of those third down holes that Nebraska's not been able to really get out of. Nobody can get out of them very easily. And the way he zipped the ball around the yard, that was impressive.
Yeah, I'd say he is Nebraska's biggest reason for optimism. If you're a Nebraska fan,
yeah, no doubt.
I don't know that now, Robin. Here's the interesting thing about that conversation. I don't think we would have predicted that at the start of the season. I think you would have said the defense,
right?
And so that conversation is really interesting to me. How that in fact, I wrote about it on Sunday. How quickly that conversation has shifted, and now, in fact, Tony White, by the way, made mention of it today. And I'm not going to say what Tony White said because he
said it twice.
He cursed twice, Sean, and this is a family show. But he said we got to get him help. 24 points. We got to get him help. And he said we have a freshman quarterback busting his tail. Sean. Sean's not listening today.
I can look at my camera. I don't have to eye contact. It's a camera.
But he's
I'm listening to
but
you.
he said he's busting his tail.
I have
We
to,
got to help
look
him.
at your eyes and
We
we
gotta
got
help
to you
him.
the hour.
You know how Lisa feels.
What's that?
I said, now you know how Lisa feels.
I'm
Are you even
listening
listening to me?
I'm managing the show.
I feel like Lisa,
I'm
Sean.
managing the show too.
Sean, I feel like Lisa
Okay.
right
God dang.
now. Now I know.
He's the big 12 kicker of the year, right? I listened to you just fine. You were wrong.
Big 8 guy, right? To your point.
All right.
I
Go
agree
ahead.
with you that he is the biggest reason for optimism, but I also firmly agree with Tony White that he needs help. To sit there and try to put the entire fate of this season on the shoulders of a true freshman, as talented as he may be, is not going to end well.
Dicey.
You saw what happened. He's still a freshman. 2 out of 3 plays, he just drops the ball. Luckily, they were both recovered, but those were kind of those first like freshman moments that we saw. And then the missed touchdown pass. I mean, I think they almost caught off guard by how wide open the play was, but that's a throw that you have to make. And so there's still a learning curve there for Dylan Raiola. As impressive as he and the flashes that he shows, like the ceiling is immeasurable right now, but he needs help. They got to be able to run the ball. They got to be able to stop people and get off the field on defense. He can't have to do everything because he's just not quite there yet to take on that responsibility, in my opinion.
And I think the offensive line situation is worth noting. They got by with it for the most part until the end of that game. But will it look the same?
Oh, no.
What is the status of Turner Corcoran long-term for the year? Doesn't sound good. So Gunnar Gatula came in, did a solid job at left tackle when they were running the ball. But when you put Gunnar Gatula in a situation where it's pass, different game for a kid like that.
Well, here's the question I have for you guys who are probably a little bit more astute football-wise. Wouldn't you now, if you're a defense, heat up Dylan more?
Yes.
Right up the middle.
Yeah.
If you can't run the ball effectively on the early rundowns and it's pass, you can't let Dylan Raiola sit back there and read 7 men in coverage because Illinois tried that. Illinois is like, we're going to drop 7.
Right.
And we're going to force this
Can't
kid
do it.
to make a throw through a window.
And
guess
he will.
what? He threw the ball through the window beautifully, as well as I've seen a quarterback in Nebraska do. I mean, some of those throws, there were 3 or 4 guys in the area, and the ball would just go right to the one receiver.
I mean, better than Zach Taylor.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, Zach Taylor didn't have elite arm strength,
Right.
but he had great feel.
Right. He was a Big 12
Correct.
player, offensive
There you
player
go,
of the
Sip.
year. Yeah. So that, hey, so he's gonna get heated up. So what do? You got to get it out quick. Quick dump off passes. Probably better figure out some run plays, inside screen, that sort of stuff, right?
And for that stuff to work, you got to block better on the perimeter, which I think is still a bit of an issue. I think it was better, at least maybe from my bird's eye view, it looked better, but that has to get more because you look at where the pressure's coming from. It's not like he's getting like whipped around the edge. Like especially Illinois did, they teed up blitzes right up the gut. And because what does Dylan like to do? Step up in the pocket. And so when he's stepping into blitzes, that throws everything off. And so that film is out there. Teams know that if you want to fluster this kid, you go right at him, get right in his face.
A-gap.
And the only way to avoid that is work the perimeters. And for the only way that to work, you got to be able to block on the edge.
But now here's the thing. If they're coming up the middle, that's where Nebraska's offensive line strength is. Shouldn't you be okay from that standpoint?
We haven't seen, though, Mazuka the last 2 weeks.
That's why you got to get him back.
And what is the issue? I don't know. And look, everyone's got their tin hat foil theories of why he's out. I've received all of your messages on Facebook, Twitter.
Tinfoil hat.
But whatever. I can say it how I want. But he's out. That's all we know.
I know. We don't know.
He did play on special teams, and Matt Rule was quick to point that out.
Field goal team.
I do think I'll be honest. I'll be shocked if we don't see him play this game. I'll be surprised.
You think that the point was made at this point. Again, I don't know what he did or what was said, but he's playing in games. Like, you're like,
you'll see him.
The season's it's like in the balance right now. Like you got to keep this thing going.
It's a big game.
Yeah, you go lose 2 straight to open Big Ten play and lose to maybe the worst team in the Big Ten on the road.
Oh
like,
God, Robin just
that's what I'm saying. Like,
it's a big one, Sean.
The time to make statements, I think you've accomplished that. You sat him basically from the offensive line for 2 straight games. Again, that's just me from not knowing any of the details. But the fact that he's playing in games leads me to believe that, I don't know, maybe we're close to resolving the situation, and hopefully it is resolved this week.
And isn't it interesting if you look at this in the context of getting your best 5 out on the best 5 linemen out there. Do you think about putting Mazuka or Latovsky at tackle?
Or not?
I'm not running gun or Gatula out of anything, but you're looking to get your best 5. He's a redshirt freshman. These other guys have a ton of experience. Latovsky can play tackle.
He's not a great pass blocker, though.
Okay.
I
don't know about Mazuka.
I still think Mazuka at tackle could have some steam to it.
I do too.
This is
Rule and Satterfield said that was an option.
This is a grown man's, and they're not tipping their hand on it, rightfully so. It's a gamesmanship move here.
Say what you're going to say, though. It's a grown man's league.
Yeah, and you can't just, for a freshman to play in this league at a high level, they have to be elite.
It's really hard.
Like
really
Jordan
hard.
Seaton level freshman.
Yeah, and it's hard for him. So it's an ongoing conversation. The question is, how's Mizzou? If he's doing it, how does he look? I mean, but man, I would bet on him. I would bet on Mazuka being able to do it. Just having watched him.
Well, it was interesting because after Corcoran, we mentioned this in the post-game show, but when Corcoran got hurt, our intern Carter Owens pointed out that on the sideline, Mazuka was like warming up and like coming out of his stance, and he was doing tackle
drops.
He was doing tackle drops. So
kick steps,
notable.
Okay,
something to watch as we head out to West Lafayette. But Gunnar Tkula did a great job.
He did
in the role that he was asked to fill, and that's all you ask of a guy in those situations.
100.
But when we come back, we'll hit defensive storylines. You're listening here to the HuskerOnline Show. And we're back here on the HuskerOnline Show. Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple, Robin Wash at HuskerOnline Show. Again, brought to you by StayHome.Care. They're there to help you help your loved ones. It could be a family member, a parent, an aunt, an uncle, or just a friend that needs assistance. It could be as simple as grocery shopping, cooking, picking up prescriptions, giving somebody a ride. They are there to provide the assistance that you need for any loved one in your life. Check them out at StayHome.Care. They're the title sponsor of the Husker Online Show. And we're also brought to you by CHI Health. And right now, for men, prostate cancer is one of the toughest. In fact, prostate cancer is still the #1 cause of cancer death. Let's look at the stats. For nearly 300,000 men across the country being diagnosed with prostate cancer, there will be 2,000 right here in Nebraska. A well-executed game plan can help turn that around. This September is Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. CHI Health is reminding men to stay on the offense with a strong strategy for early detection. It's been shown to improve treatment success and get more men over the goal line. Here's the game plan. Men age 50 and older should talk with their healthcare provider about when to begin prostate cancer screenings. If you don't have a provider, go to chihealth.com to find a provider or a CHI Health clinic near you. Don't drop the ball, Husker Nation. Let's stay on offense and beat prostate cancer at its own game. Get started today at chihealth.com. Thank you to CHI Health for sponsoring us here on the Husker Online Show. Let's get into the defensive storylines. And I think the big one is the run game this week. Can Nebraska bow up? Because Purdue is going to tight end up. They're going to go fullbacks. They're going to go whatever they can to go at Nebraska. Because for 2 weeks in a row, we've seen people do this and have success.
Yeah, I think Maccabee. I'm trying to think back on I got the release right here. How about this, guys? Maccabee. We've talked about Devin Maccabee and Reggie Love combined to average 147 rushing yards per game. They're, again, I know what people are saying, oh, big deal, Sipple. Well, in the context of what we've seen in the last 2 weeks, it's meaningful. Mm-hmm. You don't want those guys to be able to kind of, I'll just say it, take over the game. Because right now, I'm looking at those first 2 series pretty closely and seeing what that looks like for Nebraska. You got those guys. Can you get it under control early? Because that's what you're going to have to do. And you're going to have to keep playing because they're not going to give up on the run game.
One thing to note, though, is this is not going to be the mobile quarterback threat that they've seen the last 2 games. And I thought that that's really been a thorn in Nebraska's side, especially these last 2 games, is because they've just struggled to contain the quarterback. And I think that's opened up things in the traditional running game. And so with Hudson Card, he's a traditional pocket passer.
He won't leak out of there.
I mean, he can. Most quarterbacks can, but that's not like I wouldn't classify him dual threat by any stretch. No. So maybe with not having to worry as much about that, the way you did with Altmaier and with the kid from Northern Iowa. He's a
Aiden
good
Dunn.
player. He's a good player.
Okay.
Maybe that allows Nebraska's run defense to kind of own in and get back to what we saw the first 2 weeks.
So Hudson Card has had 5 scrambles go for 54 yards.
So he can leak out of
So
there.
he can get
As
you.
far as design runs, he's had 1 gap run, and that was it.
So one designed run.
On design run.
1 design gap run. Let's see, 3 games played, 69 snaps, 8 attempts for 52 yards total. But yeah, 5 for 54 on the scrambles. 3 runs of his 8 have converted first down. So,
See, what you don't want, and we've seen this, is give yourself credit, guys. We've seen Nebraska's edge rushers get pushed upfield too often.
Mhm.
And the last place you want to be as a defender is looking at the back of a quarterback. What you're no good at that point. When you've shot up the field too far and you're looking back, there's nothing. Your value just goes away.
Yeah, well, Card can't run. He can do that. He can get those 3rd and 5 scrambles and convert and keep drives alive.
Absolutely.
I would
part of the
say
game.
under pressure is where Card struggles. He's 5 of 16 passing for 74 yards and 2 picks under pressure.
He's ordinary.
So
He's an ordinary
they got to
quarterback.
get to him with pressure and how that is. And that starts with winning up front. Against Colorado, they won up front.
They did.
They didn't even really have to blitz.
Right. But I think I don't know. I haven't looked at Purdue in depth, but I got to think they're better up front on offense than Colorado. Better offensive line than Colorado. Now, Colorado is playing pretty well. Now, they stole a game against Baylor. Just completely stole it. But, they're 3-1. That offense looked pretty good to me. I watched the Baylor game. They still that offense, and you know what they're doing? Sean noted this. They're running it now. They're having the quarterback run. Shedeur Sanders is running. So Pat Shurmur may have went to prime Deion Sanders and said, we got to change. We got to do something. We got to have him run the ball occasionally.
Mhm.
Or if he scrambles, have him scramble for yards, not stop at the line and throw it downfield.
Mhm.
So I don't know.
Yeah, the guy to watch on this O-line for Purdue is the right tackle, Marcus Mebo. And he's their highest graded starter. And then Hudson Card's their next highest graded starter.
Okay.
So, I mean, their offensive numbers aren't terrible.
No, they're not.
They actually have a very respectable offense. The tight end for them, Max Clare, solid
10
tight
catches.
end.
Yeah. He's got
Not a
10
great
catches.
blocker, but a very good receiving threat. And Purdue has always had that kind of guy.
Mhm.
Yeah, they have. And if you look at their receivers, they're representative of the Big Ten. They got a 6'3" guy, 6'2" guy, 210, 219. They'll look the part. I just don't buy into this. Oh, it's just Purdue sip. I don't buy into it. I think it. I mean, I would tell you right now that I'll predict a Nebraska win, but I'm predicting a close win. I don't
The
think
spread's
they'll-
about 10 right now.
Yeah, I've heard 9.
Seems high. going on
Seems
the road.
high. Wow, it seems high.
Yeah, it's got up to 10. So it might be back to 9. But I've seen it at 10 on Sunday and Monday.
Seems high.
As we've seen it. But yeah, stopping the run. And look, Hudson Card, I think, is a solid quarterback. I mean, it's
Solid.
He's not. I mean, they took him out of the game last year, if I remember right. They hit him pretty hard. They had to pull him out of that game.
Is that right?
Nebraska jumped up 21-0, if you remember.
It's a good game. Nebraska
They
played
blocked
well.
the field goal, ran it back. I mean, they created plays on special teams, but you just wonder what the demeanor is going to be in West Lafayette for this game, coming off back-to-back losses, bad losses to Notre Dame and Oregon State.
Yeah.
And they come back. It is homecoming.
Mhm.
And, the game, I believe, is listed as a sellout. So will it be?
Is it really?
Yeah, early in the year, they announced it already as a sellout, I think. And everywhere in the Big Ten, I think, takes homecoming super. I mean, I never felt like Nebraska was like, oh, we got to go to the big homecoming game. But some of these Big Ten towns, it's a big deal. And
Yeah, it's a big deal.
homecoming weekend.
If they get a near sellout, that is a big deal.
Parents' weekend's big in the Big Ten, too.
It is.
And I'm thinking to myself, I don't ever remember my parents coming down and spending a weekend with me in Lincoln. I just saw them in Omaha.
Right.
We didn't, but you go to these Big Ten
My parents
towns-
didn't want to see me.
I didn't want them down here. They didn't want to come down here.
Stay home.
Parents' weekend. We've been to like a lot of parents' weekends, Robin, over the years.
Yeah, so we'll see how many of that sellout crowd show up after these last 2 performances. I mean,
Right.
morale is low right now in West Lafayette.
One would
And-
think.
And Ryan Walters even has said as much. Like they've got to this is a pretty critical week for them because things could really bottom out for them if they haven't already. If Nebraska comes in there and does what Vegas expects them to do and win by double digits, in West Lafayette.
This game is every game in this league is kind of scary. That's the way it is. Rule always says it too. I give him credit. You just got to play a bunch of close games
because everybody right now in this league has money and they invest to win.
Yeah,
they don't just invest to fill a coaching spot.
No. Walters Ryan is probably under a fair amount of pressure right now, even in year 2. If they keep losing the way they've lost. There's no guarantee he'd make it to year 3.
When Nebraska first joined the Big Ten, it was a little different. I mean, you had some coaches that, couldn't play dead in a Western, and you just kind of knew that
it's true.
Like
it's true.
The game was over. Like when it started, it's not that way anymore.
No, it's not.
I mean, you have like capable guys on every side,
every staff. No, that's one. It's every game's tough. It's fun for us. It is. It's really fun. We're going to Purdue to cover a game. This is not like we used to go to some places. You'd be like, it's probably not going to be much.
It's 2 teams facing varying degrees of desperation right now. I mean, Nebraska has very lofty goals still, and they are very achievable. But this is an important game. If you lose this one, then all of a sudden you're reevaluating.
It's not like Randy Gregory on the first play sacking Danny Etling for like a 30-yard loss.
Danny Etling, good name.
Danny had to pull that one out.
Good one.
All right, when we come back, Abby Barmore will join the show. We'll take your questions in the mailbag. You're listening here to the Husker Online Show. And we're back here on the Husker Online Show. Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple, Robin Washut, Abby Barmore now joining the show here as well for the mailbag. We're brought to you by StayHome.Care, taking care of all your loved ones, helping you with the assistance you might need, and just simple tasks. They're there for you to help you take care of the people you love. And then we're also brought to you by HelloFresh, and it's that time of year you got a lot going on, you're busy, you don't have time to shop. I don't have time to go to the grocery store. I don't have time to mess around with online shopping and doing the things you need. Sometimes I just want it all taken right to me. We like to cook, but sometimes you don't have the things you need to cook or the game plan that you want to cook. Well, HelloFresh makes it so easy. They send you the box to your house. It's a cooler, it's got all the dry ice. All the ingredients are in there, the meats, the veggies, the fruits, the spices, the recipe cards, everything you could possibly need to make the meals. And you pick the number you want. You want to cook for 2? You want to cook for 4? You tell them. You want 1, 2, 3, 4 meals a week. You tell them. They pack it all into the cooler. They bring it to your house each and every week. And we've got a special for our Husker Online viewers here as well. Not only are you already going to get a great deal on your first order from HelloFresh, we're going to throw in free breakfast for life. Use the promo code FREEHUSKER, and that will get you free breakfast for life at HelloFresh.com. It's America's #1 meal kit. Thank you to HelloFresh for sponsoring us here on the Husker Online Show. Okay, Abby, where are we going?
Okay, first one. After 4 games, are the Huskers better, worse, or about what you expected before the season?
The defense is a tick below what I thought. That's
just a tick. Interesting.
At least a tick.
Yeah. More than a tick for me. Much more than a tick below, actually.
I mean, I kind of just expected upfront domination.
Yeah. Yeah, more than a tick below. They haven't tackled well for 2 games. They're not getting really, you can't name too many players where you say, oh, he's just playing lights out. John Bullock, Sierra Wright came in and played well. But
Ty Robinson's been pretty good, other than last week. You didn't notice him.
Didn't do much against Northern Iowa.
We had the tip pass.
Yeah, he had a couple plays.
Okay.
No, he had a couple plays.
Okay, yeah.
He played well.
Okay. Yeah, but you're just not. No, the defense isn't. I was going to say it's not close to what I thought. I thought they'd be a legit top 10 defense. Now, they're number 31 nationally in yards allowed per play, 4.61, which is better than last year, which is strange.
It's early, though.
Early, right?
The non-conference games
100.
skew the numbers.
Yeah, so, no, the defense isn't as good as I thought, and the special teams is a letdown. I wouldn't have gone into the season thinking in game 4 we're going to be sitting here gnashing our teeth about defense and special teams. There's no way.
Line drive punts, missed field goals, kicker injuries.
Yeah, there's no way I thought that.
You didn't think special teams would be an issue?
No, not a big one.
That was like the biggest question mark going into the season.
It was a question mark, but I thought they'd get it resolved.
Yeah, I guess. It was a question mark for a reason, and it's played out to the worst possible scenario.
Hold on, Robin. You're just talking about the kickers.
Yeah, but
I'm talking about special teams.
Okay, then you add in their long snapping issues, and then you add in the holds
Kentucky
on
was
kicks.
supposed to be good.
You're adding kickoffs. being not kicked to the right spot.
I know, that's what I'm talking about.
So like, that's what I'm saying. Like, these are the things that I didn't expect.
Who was the long
That's
snapper?
exactly
That's what you're saying. But there were things that you expected with
Yeah.
the kicking game.
Right.
But then also, like, you're overly confident in Brian Buschini. Like,
Mm,
that wasn't
not
a concern for
overly
you.
confident, not overly.
I mean, he's
but
punted well, but
I just
I don't
thought
know.
they'd get that stuff resolved. That's what
I
I
agree.
All right, let's get into the next question.
Okay, next one. Where does Nebraska match up the best and the worst with Purdue?
Oh, God help.
God, that's a good question.
Well,
Such a
Sean,
broad question.
The run game, they don't match. The way they're playing the run right now, that's the concern that I have.
If
going into
Purdue
the game.
finds something,
Yeah, well, they'll run outside zone. Mockabee can cut it back, though. That's the thing. He'll cut it back a lot, stick his foot in the ground and cut it back.
Mhm.
Mockabee and Reggie Love are a concern. The way Nebraska's played the run the last 2 games, they have to be a concern.
I'll say Raiola against Purdue's defense. I
Pressure.
think that's probably the best matchup for Nebraska, is that they have the better quarterback and they have probably better skill players on the perimeter. Now, will the offensive line hold up and allow that offense to operate? Will the running game allow them to stay balanced and not be predictable? That's what we don't know. But I think from a pure talent standpoint, Nebraska's got the better quarterback and the better playmakers on the outside.
guys, keep your eyes on Kydron Jenkins.
Yeah.
He's got 3 hurries and 4 sacks on PFF on their official numbers. I believe they list him at 3 on the official Purdue website, but one of the better edge rushers. Gave Nebraska a lot of problems.
4.5 tackles for loss last year against Nebraska.
And then Will Helt, another guy with 3 sacks. They have 2 good edge players that are great pass rushers.
What'd you say?
With a new left tackle.
Kydron Jenkins and Will Helt.
Jenkins, 4.5 tackles for loss in 1 game against Nebraska last year. 4.5 in 1 game.
Can they neutralize those guys with the screen game of the way they run the ball? They got to figure out a way to get those guys a little off balance.
Jenkins, by the way, had 16 tackles against Oregon State. He had 16. He's real.
Well,
We
they
saw
also
him
I
like
ran
put
the
him
ball
on my
like
all Big
60
Ten ballot.
times.
I mean, I thought of
Yeah.
I thought of him that much last year.
Yeah.
And think about if they still had Nick Scourton.
Oh, those guys, I thought they were the best tandem we saw last year.
Oh, no question. They gave Nebraska a problem. They were just on a bad team.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, we go to the next one. Abby, what do you got?
Okay, what are your thoughts on Dayton Raiola committing to Nebraska?
I'd like to hear Sean on this
Are
one.
is this part of the first family question, Abby, or is that coming?
That's next.
Okay. I think it makes sense. I mean, look, quarterback numbers, the questions like what are the numbers going to be? You just don't know what the quarterback position is going to be. Dayton Raiola is playing for a very good high school team. He's taken over the starting job. He's having a solid year. They've only lost 1 game, and they've played maybe the toughest schedule of any team in Georgia to start the year. So I think he's got high upside, and it makes sense. I mean, nobody should be surprised that Dayton Raiola is going to play for Nebraska.
No.
Nobody.
Dominic has told me, and he won't mind me sharing this, that playing for Buford is a huge help because it's pressure, it's high level football. So he'll be pretty much ready for what he's going to see in college. No joke. I mean,
Saw with Dylan.
yeah, that's high level football. So that bodes well.
What do you got next, Abby?
Okay, next one. You already gave this one away, but who is the first family of Nebraska football?
Boy.
Well, I mean, the Raiolas are making a run at it because they actually have 5 ties now to the program with Dominic, Dylan, Dayton, Taylor, their sister who works in the football program, and obviously Donovan, the O-line coach. But I think you either have to go. I always think the Swanson Rude family.
Wow, not the Osbornes. The
Well,
Osborne
no,
family.
people that have played in the program, not just one person.
Okay.
Like a family that's so rooted into the program.
Oh, I got you.
Like that
All right.
has multiple layers, and you can literally trace the Rude family
Oh God,
in the
yes.
Swanson over 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Clarence Swanson is in the College Football Hall of Fame.
Yep.
That's Barrett Rude's great grandfather,
His dad played at a
And-
high level,
and then John Rude, and then Clarence Swanson's granddaughter married Tom Rude, and then his other daughter Sherry married Bob Martin.
Bob Martin. Oh yeah,
And so I think they would be my claim. And then you can go down to Barrett and Bo Rude. I mean, but the Fisher family, I think, has a strong case too.
yeah. I like the Roots. Barrett's the all-time leading tackler for Nebraska. Bo was a good player. His dad was a great player too.
First rounder.
Tom Rude, played for the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, I'd go Rude.
Bob Martin was good.
Yeah, always excellent.
I think Clarence Swanson's in the hall. Clarence Swanson still holds tied with many people the receiving touchdowns record.
Thanks, Sean, on this one. He nailed it.
Yep, I'm going Rudes, but hey, the Raiolas, they got a chance.
The Fishers, though.
Yeah.
None of those guys were quarterbacks.
Pat Fisher, Cletus Fisher. I mean,
when there's so many Fishers that you forget some of them, that's big, and there are a few that you don't even think about.
But yeah, the Rude Swanson lineage is hard to beat.
That's a good one.
And Clarence Swanson played a hand to hiring Bob Devaney. He was the regent that literally greeted Bob Devaney when the plane landed.
You've made a great case. I'm not joking.
No arguing.
All right, final question.
Final question. What is your weirdest road trip story?
Colorado last year was probably up there as we enjoyed our meal at the combination Indian / barbecue restaurant.
That was odd. I
It
mean,
was literally
how much you want to get into that?
It was a sports bar that had barbecue and Indian food
and good fried chicken.
2 different kitchen staffs. I mean, it was
strangely
I've never
good fried
seen anything
chicken.
like it. But the waitress that we had was hammered drunk,
Oh yeah.
crying.
Yeah.
Another
She was having a rough day.
another waitress in there got called in and had to take her infant child in a baby carrier at a table next to our table.
Just set it on the table while she was waiting.
And we were sitting there, and I said, "Is there a baby in there?"
There was a baby
There was
in
a
there.
baby in there.
And this wasn't just some hole in the wall. Like, I mean, it was a decent place.
Rob, at one point I looked over, and Sean had a remote control in front of a TV.
with the antenna TV. They didn't have cable.
Bill
There was like an
McCartney's
antenna on
son
the
was
wall.
in there. I mean, there were some like who's who Colorado people hanging out there on Friday night.
Sean was looking for a game on a TV with the remote control in his hand.
Yeah, just taking it over.
Well, they also didn't have a cable. It was weird. Like it was
Yeah.
like an antenna, like one of those pads. It's like a digital
Mhm.
antenna. I don't have one, but that's what I think it was.
That was the experience was troubling and fun at the same time.
We just kind of went with it.
Yeah.
And then they just closed the bar.
Yeah, the girl that was
Yeah, it was
waiting
like
on
10
said,
o'clock.
said we're all working like 16-hour shifts because there's a lack of help.
Mhm.
And she had just bought a house, or she's trying to pay for a house. So she's just working as much as she can.
Sipple had to hear the whole story.
Yeah, I heard the whole
And that's on top of everything else that was weird about that game.
And then the one story that I have, it's not totally odd, but it's kind of had to be there. The whole Century City experience when Nebraska played Miami for all the marbles in the Rose Bowl. And when you go on those trips, people don't understand this. When Nebraska was really rolling, you'd go down there 15 days in advance because you'd go with the team 14 days in advance. So it's so weird. I stayed in a hotel in Century City.
Some of the papers had a lot of money.
Yeah, and I used my credit card that trip, and it was a whopper. Like I was like, "Oh God, I don't know if I can do this." I paid for everybody, and next to me in the really nice hotel, but that time of year, not many people. And in fact, I think there was only one other person on my floor, and she was right next to me. It was just a young girl, probably in her 20s, and she had a little poodle.
Where's this going?
Nowhere. It was just odd. I was like, "Why are we next to each other?" Like. What were they like the only ones on the floor? And she'd have her poodle out on the deck, the little white poodle would bark all the time. It was odd. And then also on that trip, I'd look down one day and I saw Gladys Knight. Gladys Knight was staying in the hotel.
The Gladys Knight.
Gladys Knight. She was down in the foyer area. I was like, whoa.
I'd kill to go to Miami for 15 days in December.
Did it? Yeah, did it. It was crazy. Did it twice. Or no, once in Miami, Phoenix a couple times for that long a time. It was crazy.
Wish we could go back to Fresno again.
Yeah, that'd be
It was a
fun.
trip.
It was 120 degrees.
10 o'clock local time kick. Or local here.
10
Central
p.m.
time kick. Yeah.
All right.
They won though.
When we come back, let's get through the Big Ten games to watch here in week number 5. You're listening here to the Husker Online Show. Final segment of the Husker Online Show, again, brought to you by StayHome.Care. They are there to help you take care of the loved ones in your life. It doesn't have to even just be family members. Anybody that you know that needs assistance. It could be just helping with grocery shopping, cooking, picking up a prescription, getting somebody to a doctor's appointment. They are there to help you. To learn more, check them out at StayHome.Care. That's .care, not .com. Thanks again to StayHome.Care for sponsoring us on the Husker Online Show. Okay, I want to get through the Big Ten games from last week. Solid week of games again. Indiana 4-0, 52-14 winners over Charlotte. Ohio State kind of came out sluggish early, then pulled away from Marshall, 49-14. Maryland, we talked about that game as one to kind of just note, because Villanova was a highly ranked FCS team. Maryland wins 38-20 over Villanova. Penn State shuts out Kent State, 56-0. Big one. Rutgers goes into Blacksburg and holds on. Virginia Tech stormed back late, but Rutgers wins 26-23. Pretty good chance the Scarlet Knights could be undefeated coming into Lincoln here a week from Saturday. LSU pulls away from UCLA 34-17. Washington beats Northwestern 24-5. And then, I thought several big games. Michigan over USC was the big one, 27-24. That was a back and forth fight. Michigan figured it out. Iowa goes into Minneapolis, steamrolls the Gophers 31-14 as Caleb Johnson goes for 206 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. Oregon State beats Purdue 38-21. Michigan State nearly got the win over Boston College, but falls 23-19. A lot there, but I think the Michigan win over USC is probably where we have to start.
It was amazing. I mean, if you're a Big Ten fan, you just thump your chest. I mean, those two helmets.
On CBS.
Yeah, those two helmets. I watched all of the game, and I feel lucky to have watched that game. It was gorgeous. It was a gorgeous scene, number one, but then the game was really good. Michigan shouldn't have won. Michigan, they have a guy named Kalen Mullings that had a 61-yard gain late in the game when Michigan looked like they were in big trouble. Mm-hmm. Somehow he ran through a safety. I mean, he ran through a safety's arms, and USC should have won that game. It was a great coaching job by Lincoln Riley, great halftime adjustments. But Michigan, and guys, I think Michigan ran the ball 90% of the time between the tackles. It was a big flex. It was like a welcome to the Big Ten. Yeah, to USC. Yeah. USC, though, acquitted itself very well.
The Rutgers win is almost just as impressive for me, just because they went on the road and beat a good Virginia Tech team, and they were underdogs in that game, and that was going to be one of those litmus test games for them. Are they real? If they are real, they're going to win this game. Well, they did. They almost blew it. They got outscored 16-3 in the fourth quarter, but they held on. And like Sean said, that could be an intriguing matchup for Nebraska down the road if Nebraska can stay on track and Rutgers keeps rolling.
All right, going in now to this week, obviously we'll be in West Lafayette for Nebraska and Purdue, but still some other games of note. And this game's on the Peacock. Again, we mentioned that in the open. So make sure, even if your loved ones, I'm sure StayHome.Care can help your loved ones get the Peacock set up.
Would they do that? I'm
sure they could. I mean, I'm sure they'll add that to their list of things if someone needs help and you got mom or dad that needs help with something or
with the TV.
I mean, sometimes my parents, I might need to get them set up with that every once in a while. But Washington at Rutgers, Scarlet Knight, a 2.5-point favorite.
Wow.
This one intrigued me.
Wow, yeah.
Maryland at Indiana. Maryland.
Oh, God, yes.
Indiana's a 7-point favorite.
Jeez.
And that they could be undefeated when the Huskers come into Bloomington in a couple weeks. Michigan, 9-point favorite over Minnesota. There's not going to be a lot of passing in that game. You got Nebraska, Purdue, Wisconsin at USC.
Jeez.
The Trojans are a 16-point favorite.
Should be.
And this is a big game for Wisconsin because we just haven't seen Wisconsin really drop 2 in a row by big margins very often.
Right.
Think about the history since we've been in this league. It don't happen.
No. What's happened at Wisconsin reminds me of what happened to Nebraska when they've tried to change the way they do things, and it's not working so far. Change the way they do things in that they don't have the big power back anymore. They don't try to just line up and hammer you. Phil Longo spreads you out. They're getting away from Wisconsin, and so far it's not working.
Get this stat. I saw this on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, earlier this week. From 1993 to 2022, Wisconsin was a 14 or more point underdog 9 times. So almost 30 years. In Luke Fickell's first 16 games, they've been a 14-point or more dog 3 times in 16 games.
Yeah, it'll be really tough against you.
I think about that hire, and I mean, we're biased. We both like Lance Leipold, but Lance Leipold to me would have been so much of a better fit at Wisconsin. I mean, but no, everybody applauded the hire of Fickle.
Well, Fickle was proven
On the surface, I didn't realize though he just didn't have a lot of it to him.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Like
He doesn't. You're right.
it just. I mean, he's done a good job at Cincinnati. Obviously,
We did a great job at
we
Cincinnati.
got him to the playoff as a group
Yeah.
of 5, but he doesn't have a lot of showmanship to him.
No, it's a very old school. Very old
It's
school.
kind of a version of Pelini.
Cleaned up.
Cleaned
Yeah.
up. Illinois at
Scrubbed.
It's
Scrubbed.
Illinois at Penn State. Penn
Mm.
State in a night game, 18-point favorite. We know
Huge
what that's
line.
like playing at night in state
That
college.
just feels like easy money. We're not a gambling show, but
Huge line.
that just feels like easy money. Penn State by 18. That's too much. That's too many points.
That's a lot of lumber.
That's too many points.
Then Ohio State at Michigan State, also a Peacock game for you conspiracy theorists that think that Nebraska got punished for some reason.
What's also a Peacock game?
Oh, Ohio State, Michigan State.
That's a Peacock game.
Mhm.
There's
On the P.
I had a deal with some of our users thinking, like, oh, Nebraska lost to Illinois. We get punished. We're on the Peacock now.
Got it. Keep going.
Okay,
Sean.
simple. And then you've got Oregon, a 24-point favorite in the Rose Bowl against UCLA.
Hello.
God, those are great games. You know what? I'd be a happy man if the Big Ten just stayed this way the rest of my life. Just a few more years.
You add these 4. Well, you add these 4 new teams. It just spices it up so much.
It really does, Sean. It really does. I mean,
Like-
yeah, I was in heaven watching USC and Michigan the regular season.
And
Wow.
you know what? When you're not playing in the Friday night games, like there's pros and cons to like Nebraska playing a Friday night, but when like Washington Rutgers is going to be a Friday night game, it's an awesome game.
Guess who's going to watch that? Me.
This guy, and that guy.
Yeah.
Hey, 4.2 million people watched
And her.
Nebraska, Illinois on Friday.
Peaked out at 5 million, right?
Yeah, the rating was 4.2, peaked out over 5.
It's a good number.
That's a great number.
Yeah.
I mean,
It
it was Fox's highest rating on a Friday night since a World Series baseball
I
game.
think a game won in 2023 or something.
Yeah, last year's World Series.
Last year, okay.
Which, I mean, come on. If the World Series gets outrated by Nebraska, Illinois, MLB's got some
They've
issues.
got some problems.
I mean,
There's no going back there.
Nebraska, Illinois. Yeah,
it's
you're
a
right.
better. I mean, come on, like
Mhm.
that can't happen.
No,
But
it's trouble.
all right, well, we will have post game live. It's an 11 a.m. Central Time game. Ideally, we're going to be on 4:30, 5 o'clock range with post game
Okay.
live after we write and get through our post game duties. So join us after the game. We'll be live in West Lafayette somewhere. We were in a library last time.
That's right.
Was that guy coughing the whole time?
Yeah, there was a
Well, there was an internet. It was 3 a.m. or 2 a.m, and there was an international student literally on a FaceTime call, just
Not sure
talking
why you had to
right
put
in our show.
Could he just be a student?
student.
Well, he's talking in a different language while we were on the air.
You're right. It was weird.
It
You're
was
right.
bizarre.
It was annoying.
Accurate description. And he was coughing the whole time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
this
just-
was like right on the
Right.
COVID cusp too. So it was like it was weird.
Yeah.
That was when
What
I
are you doing?
decided we're taking all of our equipment. We tried to like do a scaled down equipment for
Mhm.
road travel. No. We heard about it.
No.
We got it.
Yeah.
We're taking all. We got new mics. We're traveling with. It's gonna be
We're
great.
doing
So-
it right.
It's the way to do it.
So join us after the game for Husker Online post game live. For Steve Sipple, Abby Barmore, Robin Washett, I'm Sean Callahan.